what is your name?
My name is Octavio Sanchez.
All right, and in what city and country were you born in?
I was born in Colima, Mexico, many years ago.
When did you come to the United States?
I came to the U.S. in 1997. Sorry.
That's okay. And when did you come to Bentonville?
1997.
So you came here immediately when you came to the U.S.?
This was the first place, the first stop that I did.
Okay, cool. What was your homeland like?
Well, I was born on the Pacific coast of Mexico, but I lived most of my life in the northern part of Mexico and later in Mexico City.
Okay.
And Mexico City is a big city, one of the biggest cities in the world.
Yeah.
Plenty of traffic, plenty of corruption. I didn't say corruption. Yes, I did say corruption. Plenty of traffic, plenty of corruption, plenty of difficult situations for people to live in. A lot of pollution, many other things. I didn't like the city at all, except for the good parts that the city has. The city has a lot of history, a lot of cultural activities and monuments and museums and everything. Everything is in there, as well as the political power of the country. That's what it was. That's my life in Mexico City.
Okay. Since you're from Mexico, that means you spoke Spanish, right?
Yes.
How did the community differ from where you live today? As in food, clothing, just the way people act, any of those kind of things.
Well, the language is the main difference. Importantly, the language. The second difference, also importantly, is the cost of things. The level of the economy in this part of the country, in Bentonville, is of course much higher than what it is in Mexico City. So I had to adjust myself in thinking of the conversion rate related to my salary and adjust to whatever it was the need of changes in the financial aspect of life. That was one part. As for food, I didn't have much of a problem because I eat everything. So there is absolutely no problem. The difficulty was when getting fruits and vegetables. They are much more abundant in the markets in Mexico City. There are more offers of fruits that are proper to the tropicals, to the tropics, in comparison to what it is in the U.S., where pineapples, bananas, mangoes, and everything has to be imported from distant lands.
So you guys got it like homegrown kind of stuff?
In
a way.
Industrially produced, but nearby in farms nearby, so where you could get them.
Okay.
But in here, there are no banana plantations, there are no mango plantations, we don't have pineapple cultivars or nothing like that. So that was a shock in the sense of food.
Okay.
As for the culture, we didn't have any problem because we have been associated to the U.S., closely associated to the U.S. In many ways. So no problem with that respect.
Why did you move from your country to the U.S.?
I was working in Mexico for a large corporation that has its headquarters in Bentonville, and the company reorganized the computer center where I was working. They offered me a position in Bentonville. I studied the possibilities. I did a comparison between the cities back in 1996 and the city in Bentonville versus Mexico. And I saw many things in favor and a few things against it, like the bananas and mangoes and things like that. And but anyway, my wife and my children decided to come, and that's where we ended up here.
What kind of obstacles did you have to overcome in the process of coming here?
None.
None? Very easy?
I mean, none. What is the obstacle? I was working in Mexico for a company whose headquarters are in Bentonville. They offered me a job here. I say yes. After studying the situation, I say yes. They hired a lawyer. They did all the paperwork for me. When the paperwork was ready, they called me from the embassy and they say, your permit is ready, come and pick it up and go to the U.S. to work. That was it.
You mentioned earlier that you had some struggles with the language, or that language was a little bit different. Was it a difficulty with it, or were you already kind of speaking?
No. I had knowledge of English as a language. I still have my accent, and I think I'm keeping it until I die. But that's what it is, not for lack of understanding the language. What I said is that it was different first to be in a country where the main language is Spanish to a country where the main language is English. So I had to switch and then speak in English for the most part. And as I said, also the currency, but it is part of the financial environment. Nothing else. I didn't have any problem with the language.
What were your ideas of what you imagined it would be like to live here?
Well, the ideas were very much what I did. As I said, it was no discrepancy because I have visited the U.S. for 100 times before coming to live here. And in fact, I got the job offer while I was here working on a project from Mexico, from the Mexico company into Bentonville. So I was working here. I knew what it was, the city. I knew the city.
So it wasn't unfamiliar.
It was the city was not unfamiliar. And as I said, I've been to many. I have been before to many cities in the U.S. before coming here, visiting on many occasions. So it was nothing extraordinary for me.
Alright, since moving here, have you changed culturally at all since moving here? Like, you said food wasn't an issue for you, but has your clothing style changed, family connections, any of that kind of thing?
I'm very boring. I didn't change anything.
You didn't change anything?
I have plenty of food, as I can certify it. And there is a lot of friends that I have met been in this city for the last 16 years. Nothing has changed fundamentally. What has changed perhaps has been my participation in the community. Down in Mexico, I had some participation in some community participation. For example, I was responsible or one of the representatives of the neighborhood where I live. That was the title that I got in Mexico for natural reasons. In Bentonville, I currently have several positions of participation in the community. Among them, being a board member in the part of the advisory board in Bentonville Library. So that's one of the things that I do as part of my community participation.
So you increased in it?
I increase, as I say, my level of participation. I increase my awareness, and more than anything, I am absolutely satisfied with the foundations of the American system. The American form of government in which everybody is allowed to participate makes me happy in the sense of knowing that anybody can go to the polls, anybody can go participate in the political process and be part of it and have an influence on the decisions of the country. This is particularly true, for example, in the election that recently took place about the increase in taxes for the school district in Bentonville. So it is everybody's opinion that counts, and they can say yes or no, however their opinion is, and based on those results, it is the decisions are made. They are not made by any bureaucrat. They are not made by a politician or somebody else. They are made by the people, and this is something absolutely fantastic that I didn't have in Mexico. The decisions are made in a different way. So this portion that is, as I said, the ability to participate in the political process is something that I want everybody, particularly young people, to understand and take advantage of for the benefit of themselves and the future generations. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
This one's shifting gears a little bit, and you said you had a daughter, right?
I have a daughter and I have a son.
And a son, okay. Do you have any concerns that your children will forget their native language or culture because of moving here and living here?
Yes, there is that possibility. I hope it doesn't materialize, because in my home, if only us are present, the official language is Spanish. So you need to know the language to be participant in the family activities.
Okay.
That's what I try to push. Of course, my son married a local girl who only spoke English. So their marriage is between the father who speaks both languages and the mother who speaks mostly English. So the children who are closer to the mother are more likely to speak English than to speak Spanish. So that's a little bit of a difficulty that I see at a distance if we don't participate in it. Fortunately, my wife and I deal with them on a continuous basis, and we insist to them on the benefits of learning, of keeping the two languages. It doesn't hurt to speak two languages, or three or four, or whatever it is. It doesn't hurt to maintain your cultural origins and to keep the love for the things that you had back in your home country. As I said, it is good to have it. It is also at the same time important to recognize what is what you have today. And if you are not happy with the current conditions of the country where you are, honey, get out of here.
What does being American mean to you?
Well, being American is very important for me because it is being part of a society that was founded on a model that includes the responsibility of the citizens. And this is something that I value very much. Citizens have to be responsible to themselves and to their society. And that is part of the American Foundation. So that I'm very glad to be part of that social structure that it is called America. And I like it very much, as I said, because of that, because the level of participation that it is permitted to all the citizens, because of the freedoms to essentially do whatever you want to do, the ability to exercise yourself in many ways, many different ways. It is explosive what you can do if you let yourself grow in a society that permits the freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of association, many freedoms that we have. That is very important, and I want to help in the preservation of that condition, of that status. And I only want it not just for myself, but I want it for everybody. That's why in my business card that you saw a minute ago, I say that Americans are a group of people that essentially are willing to sacrifice themselves in order to provide for the common good. So that's what I think it is to be.
It was very eloquently put.
Thank you.
Okay. How can a person call themselves American and still hold on to their cultural identity?
They have to understand what it is that makes them good what is good about their cultural identity. There are some things about my cultural identity that I'm ashamed of, that I distaste completely. Things that happen in the environment that I came from that I totally disagree with. So people have to understand what it is the good and what is the bad of their society. As I said, for good, I consider myself to be part of a very strong family organization. And I believe that the family is the foundation of the society. So that's part that I hold myself very dear. And that is something that in America perhaps it is not as much followed. So I don't like that part of being an American. But for the most part, hey, this is good. As I said, especially in the side of freedom, of different freedoms that we have, as I mentioned earlier. So it is good to understand what you are, because what you are, you cannot deny it. It is obvious that I am a Hispanic man of 60-some years of age, and that's clear. There is no question about it. And now the background, the cultural background, is the one that has to be understood. And people have to be proud of what they are and understand what the limitations are.
Okay. Well, that's the end of it. Thank you very much.